sign a document before the bank gets full ownership of the thing.
Okay.
So is it permissible to go to a bank and sign that document before the bank gets the full ownership?
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. Brother Muhammad's question, and he's from Morocco, is about what is called Islamic banks. And I have spoken about Islamic banks so many times. Not every bank that puts Islamic to its name or title is truly Islamic. A lot, and I'm re-emphasizing this and reiterating it, a lot of banks are not Islamic. They have a Sharia board with PhD holders, with names and famous maybe, but they just simply sign on what is on paper. They don't know what's going on in reality. They don't go into the transactions of the bank. So they sit in their big offices, and the bank, the corporate banking, comes to them and say, we have this scheme, this Islamic window, and it goes like this and that. And the sheikh looks into it, he says, okay, this sounds okay. He signs and puts his stamps. Of course, he gets usually a big bonus at the end, not to discredit him. A'udhu billah. He's a good scholar, he is reliable, but it's not sufficient to give the fatwa without going into details, especially if they're going to use your name. Your name is an asset. My name is an asset. If people use it and I'm unaware of it and look the other way, this is not the right thing to do. The scholar is supposed to go and check the transactions because they have his signed fatwa, but they're not implementing it to the letter. They are bending the rules bits and pieces here and there. So what's happening is, like Brother Muhammad from Morocco, I go to the bank and I say, listen, there's this house, there's this villa that I'm interested in buying. And they said, okay, how much is it? It costs 1 million dirham. So I said, okay, sign papers here that you're willing to pay it over the duration of 20 years, and we will charge you 1.5 million dirham with a percentage of 50%. And make a commitment that you are agree and you are liable in front of the law that you will buy it from us once we have acquisition of it. And you sign. This signature itself means that they are selling you something they do not possess. Because if you ask them, okay, before I sign, do you own the property? They say, no. Once you sign, we're going to buy it. Okay, if you're going to buy it and you're certain that I'll be forced to buy it from you, might as well give me the money in cash and let me buy it, and I'll give you the $500,000 interest over the period of 20 years. This is not permissible. And I personally asked Sheikh bin Abdul Aziz ibn Baz and Sheikh Muhammad bin Uthaymeen about this issue decades ago. And they told me that this is totally prohibited. There must be no obligation. Someone comes to me and say, Sheikh Asim, I'd like to buy this beautiful car, but I don't have money. So I said, okay, how much is it? He says, 200,000 riyals. I said, okay, if I buy it for you, will you be committed to buying it from me with a percentage? He said, definitely. He says, okay, give me your guarantees, give me 2 witnesses, swear by Allah, sign a paper or document, or give me a down payment of 20,000 riyals. Any type of commitment makes the deal haram, and Allah knows best. Maryam says, is it mandatory to reply to salam on text messages in a group or individually? The answer is that it's an issue of dispute. Most likely it is best to reply for salam if it's individually. Someone sends me a text message, it is best to say wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. But is it mandatory? I am inclined that it is not. Especially in Twitter, in Facebook. Sometimes I sit on Twitter for an hour and I get like maybe 100, 200 questions. And when everyone asks me and says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh, to reply and say wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, I would maybe answer 5 or 10 questions. But if I don't, and if I skip the reply of the salam and I answer the questions, I would probably cover like 60 or 100. So which is more feasible? Definitely not to answer, as the question or the salam was not addressed to me specifically, especially in such platforms, and Allah knows best. A brother says, can a person in i'tikaf go to work during the days at his office and go straight back to the masjid to spend the nights? This would not be a i'tikaf. I'tikaf is to go on the first night of the 20th till they say that tomorrow is Eid, without going out from the masjid except for necessities such as toilet or to eat if you're not allowed to bring food inside. That's it. You don't follow funerals, you don't visit the sick, you don't do anything. You just confine yourself. But if you have work, in this case, you must go. Then, in this case, this would not be i'tikaf except for the time that you sit in the masjid, which is when you come back from work until you go back the following day. This is i'tikaf, but it is not the full-fledged i'tikaf, and Allah knows best. Shayla says, can we put eye drops? Yes. Ear drops? Yes. And nose drops while fasting? Nose drops is an issue of dispute. If you ensure that it does not go down your throat, in this case it's halal. But if you put nose drops and you feel that it's going down to your throat, this breaks your fasting. David says, is it permissible for me to attend my non-Muslim grandfather's funeral? The answer is no. It is prohibited for Muslims to attend the funerals of non-Muslim relatives, even if this would hurt your parents who are non-Muslim. And this may cause some hardship. There's no problem in that. Be diplomatic, be patient and tolerant, and show them that you loved him as a man, you loved him as a grandfather, but because he is a disbeliever, you are not allowed to go to the graveyards and to attend his burial. If they have a reception, like most people do, afterwards, after the burial in their house, where they eat food and gather, there is no problem in just going there and give your condolences to your relatives and kinship and leaving. But to attend the actual funeral and burial, this is not permissible. Zain says, is it permissible to watch football matches and support our favorite football teams? I personally don't like football. And this is my personal preference. It's a bit weird that 20 men run after a ball. Buy each one of them a ball and let them enjoy themselves. But the trend of football, the FIFA, the money involved, the chaos, and the money spent, the time spent, the efforts and the fights, this is planned for. And Muslims should not be hooked and addicted to such a thing. Yes, you enjoy something that is beautiful, a beautiful game, a beautiful goal. This is probably you enjoy watching a match once every couple of weeks or once a week, acceptable. But to go and buy sport channels, like I have friends and brothers who do this, pay real hardcore money for subscriptions and watch like 3 hours or 4 hours of tennis, of badminton, of NBA, of the FIFA, of Bundesliga, of whatever they have names for it. And then you ask the brother to perform 5 push-ups and he's unable to do this. This is pathetic. This is a waste of time and effort. Go and play yourself and become a sportsman, become healthy and strong, rather than just sitting on your backside and watching people run away and making billions while you're just sitting there worthless. Watching football is okay, providing that there's no awrah exposed and that does not consume a lot of your time or divert you from what Allah created you for. Abdul Wahab says, is it permissible for a person to taste the food to see if it's okay while fasting, yes, this is permissible, to put the food on the tip of your tongue and just taste it and spit it out, not swallowing it. There's no problem in that. Khawaja Ali says, in India, it's a general custom that the rings are exchanged between bride and groom during engagement ceremony. Is this practice halal? No, it's not halal, because he and she are not married yet, so they're non-mahram. How would he put the ring in her finger and touch her and she does the same to him? And this is one issue. The other issue is exchanging the rings is a Christian custom, where the priest comes and says, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, and he puts it in this finger. Muslims don't have this, and we must not imitate them in it, so this is not permissible. Hira says, here in my country, parents forbid their children from going outside after Maghrib to protect them from shaitan. Is it true or just a myth? No, this is true. The Prophet prohibited us, ﷺ, from sending our children alone, unattended, unaccompanied by an adult between Maghrib and Isha. And he said that this is the time where devils spread their most and they might hijack or harm the children. But if they're attended by an adult, if they are with their parents, there's nothing wrong in that, inshallah. A sister says, my husband is not good practicing Muslim, which might be because he was brought up in a family who were not staunch Muslims. When I call him towards strengthening his deen, like praying on time and going to the masjid, he gets frustrated and reminds of the hadith where the Prophet said, ﷺ, that most women will go to hell, and calls me one of them. So who is right? Well, he is definitely wrong. He has no right to label someone that he is from the people of hellfire. The Prophet ﷺ gave a general description due to the characteristics of women in general, but not all. It's not for me or you to label people that they are from the people of hell. Secondly, it seems, sister, that your approach to your husband lacks diplomacy, lacks wisdom. So you should rectify it. You should revise the way you speak to your husband, because at the end of the day, it is not who is a winner and who is a loser. At the end of the day, you want to lead him to Jannah. You want him to accompany you to paradise. But with this tug of war sort of relationship, and who's stronger and who's weaker, who's right and who's wrong, it's a no man's game, and no one would win. Actually, both of you would lose. So you try to audit the way you give him da'wah, change it, fine-tune it, and try to reach his heart, so that, inshallah, both of you would reach Jannah. This is all the time we have for today's episode. Until we meet next time, same place, I leave you fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
قل إنني هداني ربي إلى صراط مستقيم دينا قيما ملة إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين